Hey man, hope you're doing good. I want to talk about something that has been on my mind lately. I want to talk about why I see my woman, my girl, as a catalyst to my life and to my success, not as a hindrance. Because nowadays these voices get very loud of saying, just go your own way, do this, do that, right? All this fucking stuff. Ignore women, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, I don't think that's the way to go. And this video is not something where I'm talking about, this is how women should be, or this is how women are. That's just not the case. I'm just talking from my experience, right? And yeah, why I see my woman as a catalyst to my success, to my life in general. So the first thing I want to talk about is peace. Peace of mind. Just peace of thought, freedom of mind. That's a gift that I get from my woman, and that I know many men get from their women. I've recently watched a movie. This is like the only really content I consume nowadays is just good movies. And my best friend told me, you should watch the movie Troy. And don't want to spoil or anything here, but at the end of the day, during that movie, the warrior Achilles says something to a woman that he loved that really struck me. He says, "You gave me peace in a lifetime of war." I think those were his exact words. And I mean, is that historically accurate? Probably not. But I think that is exactly, that really described how I see my girl. She gives me peace in a lifetime of work, of fights, of war, of battle. However you want to call it, whatever you want to say is that battle, right? For me, it's growing a business, family, my own battles, my own demons that I have, right? And she does give me peace in those moments. It's this feminine radiance that my girl just has that, really just makes me feel at peace when I spend time with her. And I will say, sure, that has to do with the fact that she's a great woman, but it also has to do with the fact that I have a different perception of her nowadays than I had before. And I think a different perception compared to the perception many men have of their women. And this gets me to the second point, which is, you might have heard of the fact that women test their man, or test men in general, right? The shit tests, as the red pill calls it. These tests often get seen as very negative. I don't think they are. I don't think they are negative at all. Because there's this saying, this sentence that has stuck with me ever since I read, I don't remember which book from David Data it was, but one of his books, where he said, "The masculine grows by challenge, the feminine grows by praise." What my girl does when she tests me, pretty much, if you don't know what a test is, it's like she tests whether you are capable of staying on your lane, whether you, she tests what kind of man you are at the end of the day, right? In many situations. And most women don't do this consciously. Most of those tests are subconsciously, just to test whether you are a good man to be with, right? And she will continually do this over and over and over again. I've been with my girl for over 5 years, and she tests me every single day, just because she wants to feel that she can still trust in me and in my capabilities, in my leadership, in my direction, all this kind of stuff, right? And what these tests at the end of the day really are simply challenges. Sure, the tests prove to her, if I don't fail the tests, they prove to her that she can trust me. But these tests are also for me to become better, for me to grow as a person, as a human, as a man. So that's very profound in my opinion. Don't see these tests if you've heard of them. Like, shift your mindset, shift your paradigm on that. Don't see them as tests, see them as challenges that she gives you so you can grow. Again, the masculine grows by challenge. And many men nowadays, they only want the good sides of women, the positive sides of women. I don't think any sides of any woman is ever negative, but of any person in general. I think if there's a negative side, then that is probably because that person was hurt in the past, and as we know, hurt people hurt people. So people who got hurt will hurt other people out of their hurt. So any person who does something negative has just been hurt. And I don't think, like, I very much despise this talk nowadays that's been going on about women are bad, and then women say men are bad, and like toxic masculinity, and then femininity isn't good, and whatever, bro. Bullshit. It's all bullshit. It all comes from a lack of understanding of the other person. I get emotional talking about this because I do think that it's very important, and I do think that many people have some growing up to do here, just being quite honest here. So yeah, what many men try to do is they try to only have the positive sides of women. They try to, or they want to not have women test them, even though it's something completely natural and normal, and that's something that's okay, and that's even good. Like I said, it makes you grow. And what's funny about this is there was this metaphor also by the author David Data. It's like a spiritual teacher pretty much. And he said women are like the ocean. They're incredibly beautiful, and they're vast, and they're powerful, but they're also chaotic and uncontrollable. And I'm not saying that is the case for every single woman or for every single person who's not a man, or bro, you get what I'm saying. At the end of the day, I have experienced that with my girl. This beauty, this vastness, this radiance, but also the chaos and the uncontrollability. And you need to embrace these sides of your woman just as you embrace every other side. And you need to see them all as positive. And then the last point, which funnily enough, I talked about Achilles earlier. Now I'm gonna talk about Odysseus. I think that's what you call him in English, Odysseus. So another like Greek history lesson here. Because after watching Troy, I was like, nah bro, I need to watch that old Odysseus movie again. And I did. And I realized something that's very interesting, because if I'm honest, and if you are honest, you'll likely have to admit that if you're a man and you are heterosexual, you love women, you want to sleep with women, you want to have a woman by your side, then you're probably gonna have to admit that she is the biggest motivation in your life. There's nothing else that motivates me more than my girl. I'll be quite honest, I don't think I would be as far in life as I am without my girl. Because there's such... It's not about accountability, it's not about any of that. It's really just about wanting to become better for her and wanting to succeed for her so that she can live a better life, so that my kids can live a better life. And I realized the exact same thing is true for Odysseus. The only reason he, if you don't know the story, look it up. I'm not gonna go through the whole story because most people know that story, I assume. He went through all this pain, all this suffering. I think 17 years of suffering and struggling. Of wanting to reach Ithaca, his home again. for his woman, for Penelope. That's who he did it for. That was his motivation. Sure, his son as well, in his country, he was the king of Ithaca, right? Sure, all that stuff, but the main motivation, and this is very clear if you read, what's the author of that called? In German, it's Homer. I'm not sure what he's called in English. Maybe Homer. It's just as like from The Simpsons, but not sure how to pronounce his name in English. In German, it's Homer, so maybe it's similar in English. I don't know. So yeah, at the end of the day, he probably made that story in that way where you realize that, oh, okay, his biggest motivation was his woman, not anyone else, not his country, not his son, not him just wanting to go back home again. No, he wanted to do it for his woman. He wanted to return for his woman, and that's why he could go through all this suffering. And recently I also read a book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, a Swiss psychiatrist who survived the Nazi concentration camps. And what became very apparent in that book is that, not sure who exactly said that, maybe it was Freud, maybe it was some old philosopher, some Stoic or someone, but it became very true during me reading this book, is if you have a clear why, or if your why is strong enough, you can burden almost any how. That's not exactly the quote, but if you have a strong why, you can go through suffering. And then the suffering will have meaning. That's the main lesson I took away from the Man's Search for Meaning book. Suffering has meaning if you put meaning to it, if that suffering is for a goal, and if that goal is, bro, fucking German drunk 16-year-olds. I mean, it's Friday night, okay, but just gives me flashback to my times of drinking every weekend. So glad I don't do that anymore. But yeah, anyway, just saw this group of teenagers. It was like, it just gave me flashbacks, bro. I was exactly the same back then. Yeah, a lot can happen in a few years. Anyway, I hope this gave you some insight. I hope this gave you a deeper understanding of your woman, or of women in general maybe, because I'll be honest, women can be very confusing. My woman at times can be very confusing. So yeah, if you want to learn more about all this stuff, I've made a community that you can join. That's completely for free. And there's a bunch of like-minded men in there who just share their lessons, who share what they have learned over the years. Fucking hell, so many drunk people. They almost jumped in front of my car. So yeah, if you want to learn more about all this stuff, and you want to learn more about your women in general, how to improve your relationship, that's exactly what we talk about in this community. It's been very helpful, even for me, to see what the other guys post there. It's pretty much just we come together, and every time someone learns a lesson, they just post about it. Every time someone has a question, they post about it, and other people help them. And it's been so wholesome to just see everyone in there just helping each other, to be honest. It's really, really fulfilling to lead such a community. So if that interests you, link is in the description. You can join that. And apart from that, man, if you've watched this whole video, first of all, respect for sticking with me, because it's not easy to watch these videos, and it's certainly also not easy to understand them, to actually understand what I'm saying. It's not as easy as watching a fucking Mr. Beast entertainment video. It gives you a bunch of dopamine. This is deep stuff we're talking about here, so respect for sticking with me. And I just want to say, man, most people who watch these videos probably have been going through some tough stuff recently. If that's you, I just want to say a thing that my best friend taught me yesterday, actually. We see each other like, man, we see each other in person like 3 times a year because he lives 6, 7, 8 hours away. And we saw each other yesterday and he taught me a very important lesson. And he said everything is temporary as long as you do something about it. Nothing stays forever. It might feel like that sometimes. It certainly does for me. Sometimes stuff just feels like it's just not gonna go away. But he's very right. Everything is temporary as soon as we do something about it. If we just don't learn, don't take action, then stuff will stay as it is. But if we take action, if we learn, if we help other people, because the teacher always learns more than the student. If we help other people and we learn through that, we can make progress. We can get to the point where we want to get. So yeah, man, keep that in mind. Everything is temporary. As long as you do something about it. With that said, love you, man. You can get through everything that you're going through right now. And I'll see you soon. Best of luck.